Hi guys, I'm Alex from Gear for Music and I'm in the studio today with Jethro to talk about the new Korg Electribes. So in front of me I've got the Korg Electribe production station. It's designed to be a sort of one-stop production hub, so it's ideal for programming beats, for synthesized sounds which can be used to create whole compositions. Jethro, you've got the sampler, so tell me a little bit about how they differ.
So you've got the same layout, so it's going to be very familiar if you've used the production station already. Additionally, you can import your own samples by connecting it to a computer. If you've got stuff that you've used on a previous project and you want to incorporate that in, or you can sample directly from the input. So if you've got record players or live instrumentalists that you want to incorporate. Additionally, you can record all the pattern changes and knob movements, everything, to the SD card along with a mixdown. Both of these units will do that, and then if you take those files into Ableton, it will give you the song structure that you've been working on, and you can tweak it a bit more and take it a bit further in terms of production.
It's great. It's a great idea as well because both of these units work on batteries. So you could be using these, sat at home. You could be on the bus making music. You take it home, and then you can finish it off in Ableton, which is ideal. As you can see from the new units as well, they've got the new colours. So we've got the blue and we've got the red, which is a bit of a nod to the Electribe units of the past. Also, they've had a bit of a firmware update as well, which offers undo function and the ability to sync patterns together, which is something that a lot of people have been asking for. So instead of just having to play the patterns manually, you can actually create a lot larger compositions now. So the Electribes, they come with 200 preset patterns. So the patterns are of varying different styles and genres. But the great thing about these is the initial patterns that you get at the end, where you can actually create your own patterns. So what I'm going to talk about is how you find the right sounds and how you start adding them to the pads. So firstly, you can use the trigger button to select which pad that you're using. The last pad you press will be the one that you'll be able to change the sound on. So the Oscillate button is the button that you need to use to select those sounds, and by rotating it you can go through various different sounds. What they've also done is they've added a shift command, so if you hold the shift button and use the oscillator rotator, you can easily jump through different types, so cymbals, it could be toms, it could be percussion, voices, synth effects. So it allows you to scroll through and find the type of sound that you're looking for very quickly. So I want a simple kick drum. So I select kick drum. There we go, that's the one that I want. And I move on to the next pad. And when I'm ready to start sequencing, it's really straightforward. All I need to do, hit the sequencer button, press play, and hit the pads that I want the parts to play on. As simple as that. So Jethro, you're using the sampler, so the way that it works is slightly different. Do you want to show us some of the sample sounds that you can actually use?
Yeah, absolutely. So where you were selecting the oscillator type, you can select the sample. So again, you can select in trigger, we'll select which part we're using, and then you can rotate the sample knob to go through various different samples, some of which could be your own. I'm going to go for the kalimba sample there. Now we can change the direction, so reverse the sample, and you can record those knob movements as well in the pattern if you want a bit of variation. What I like, as well as having the keyboard mode which sets out the pitches in whatever key you're working in, and we've got them set up in C Dorian, so we're going to sound quite harmonious together hopefully. As well as using the pads as the keyboard, you can use this XY pad in a similar way, but you've got a much wider range potentially to play over. Just like the keyboard, you can record into your pattern, but it's got the added ability of having another dimension. So in this instance we've got a gate arpeggiator there, so the length of the note is governed by how far up the trackpad it is. But let's try sequencing some stuff first of all. So it's just a short loop at the moment. We can have longer loops, you can have multiple patterns chained together, but I quite like working with shorter patterns sometimes, especially melodically. But let's try using the pad. So it's added not all of those notes because they're going to be limited to the quantized steps. We can also use the... And you can hear that it's doing polyphonic things as well, so even though you can only play one layer of sample at a time, if you're putting in a number of different melodic sequences, it will play those on top of each other, so you can end up with chordal structures. And then if we go to the sequencer, let's take out a few of those. And maybe record some knob movements. Maybe a bit of filter. And you can hear the curve of those modulations coming through. And if we don't like it, we can just start again.
Okay, cheers for that, Jethro. I mean, you could see that it was really easy to start recording the melodic parts. What we're going to do now is we're going to actually record a part together. Because we're using a sync cable, not only are these going to run in perfect melody together, they're also going to be perfectly in time. So we're going to create a pattern where I'm going to be creating the drums on this machine, and Jethro's going to be creating the melodic parts on his machine. So, I mean, we've both been using these units for, I don't know, about a week now. I mean, how have you found them?
I thought the workflow was really quick. I was really happy with the speed at which you could get ideas down.
It's very easy, isn't it, just to start programming.
And also being able to take it into a computer and then fine-tune things and refine ideas a bit more.
And then I guess you know, especially the sampler, you can export them back out and start using them again live.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'll tell you what I did find is that, and you probably do it a couple of times, and once you've done it a couple of times, you'll remember to keep saving your work, because if you change the pattern and you go back to the pattern that you were on, you'll lose anything that was unsaved. So double tapping right will just save that pattern, so if you do change it, you can get back to it. Did you use the chord mode much?
A little bit. I found it quite nice.
It's you can change how big the chord is as well, so you can add different notes to it to give you variation. It did sound good. There's also the step jump mode on here as well, which allows you to jump around in the steps. So as a sequencer runs through the parts, you can jump to different parts, whether it's the hi-hat part or it's almost like a live remix that you can do. I found that quite useful actually as well when you're doing the live stuff. Did you use much of the XY pad with the master effects?
Yeah, so there's I quite like the slicer master effect.
It's good, isn't it? It sounds good if you use it. Like I was using it with the white noise earlier, and it's getting that.
Yeah.
That sounded very good, and it was great because you could just sequence it all and create these really sort of spare in the moment sort of patterns, really. So there was a lot of things that we really liked about these units. I would say make sure that you save regularly, and apart from that, they're great units. That was just a brief overview of the new Electribe range. Thank you, Jethro, for helping me today.
Pleasure.
If you want more information about these, pop over to the Gear for Music website. Thank you very much for watching.